Hello, welcome back to Magic Art. Today we're going to be talking to you on arcana. We got the cleric, druid, and wizard. So first we're going to talk about the Twilight Domain cleric. So with our domain spells, we have Fairy Fire, Sleep, Darkness, Invisibility, Aura of Vitality, Luminous Tiny Hut, Aura of Life, Green Invisibility, Circle Power, and Dream. So we got the straddling between light and darkness. We're able to defend our stand strong, defend ourselves. And for we got here proficiency in martial weapons and heavy armor. I personally think that's weird. I'll explain why I think that's weird when I get down to the ability. And Eyes of Night, we have dark vision, no maximum range, and we can give it to our allies. Last 10 minutes, number of times you can do a wisdom modifier. Anyone within 10 feet of us. And then, I'm going to admit, I'm not too excited about the subclass, but I'm not really that excited about using dark vision. That's not really something that excites me. Vigilant Blessing. You can give either yourself or someone else advantage on initiative. I mean, it's not bad. It's got versatility, but yeah. Initiative is one of those things where either you really care about it or you look at it like, well, once we get into it, it's not really after the first round or two, it doesn't matter. After the first round, it really doesn't matter what the initiative is. So, nah. And we got Channel Divinity, Twilight Sanctuary. This one is probably my favorite ability in the entire subclass. So you pretty much got a 30-foot bubble that anyone within that bubble, whenever it ends its turn there, gets a 1d10 temporary hit points and one effect causing you to be charmed or frightened. That's really, really good. Like, you got rogues with their uncanny dodge. You got barbarians with their rage. They're not gonna be taking a lot of damage. And the fact of going through temporary hit points first, like even like temporary hit points against lower creatures, they're pretty much gonna stop whatever's attacking you from really doing much. We have Step of the Brave. You have advantage on saving throws against being frightened, as well as if you're in dim or dark light, you can use your bonus action, give yourself flying speed equal to your walking speed till the end of your next turn. Okay. I mean, the image in my mind just feels weird with like you're in heavy armor and now you're just prancing about. Like it just looks silly. For the Divine Strike, it gives you psychic damage. Like, the whole flavor is supposed to be you're straddling between light and dark. I would have almost liked to have seen this as a choice between... okay, I am kind of starting to understand where this is coming from. So, now that I think about it. So, basically, this is going to be similar to the Shadow Blade spell. Because... you're grabbing shadow stuff to make a blade out of with the Shadow Blade spell. So that's pretty much why it's psychic damage. I was originally thinking either radiant or necrotic. It doesn't, because how Divine Strike works is you need to like understand where it's coming from to understand the flavor. So unless you know the Shadow Blade spell, this damage type isn't really going to make too much sense to you. And then we have Midnight Shroud. Sure, we can allow our allies to see through our darkness, but who's casting darkness at level 17? I don't know, like, darkness isn't really a spell that I use. Like, I've used it for bad guys, but I don't really see it as a spell I would normally use, so I'm just not excited about it. Making darkness cool. Alright, so then we have the Circle of Wildfire Druid. I like this one more than I like the Twilight Cleric. So, first thing we get, we have we have circle spells. Locate animals or plants, Scorching Ray, Fireball, Plant Growth, Aura of Life, Fire Shield, Flame Strike, and Raise Dead. So we got plants and fire. Cool. And Aura of Life, so we got healing, plants, and fire. Cool, cool, cool. Which, that's exactly what this subclass does. So we have Summon Wildfire. When it summons within 30 feet of us, each creature within 10 feet, other than you, must make a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC, or take 2d10 fire damage. No half damage on a successful save, that's fine. And this uses your wild shape. I quite like the fact that it uses your wild shape. The Moon Druid, its wild shape is impressive. The Spore Druid, its wild shape is impressive, but other druids, their wild shape it's a main feature of the class. Like level 20, you can use wild shape any number of times. That's a main feature of the class, but it's not really that impressive for like you could do it for scouting, sure. You could do it for scouting. You can easily get away and all that, but it's not that it's not exciting. So your spirit, you determine its appearance. So maybe branches or like a beast, but it's always covered in fire. Shows your initiative and it takes a turn immediately after yours. If you don't command it to do anything, then it automatically takes dodge action. But if you do command it, you can command it to take dash, disengage, help, or hide, or use something in a stat block. So, its hit points is equal to Constitution modifier plus your Wisdom modifier plus 5 times your level in Druid. It's immune to being charmed, frightened, grappled, prone, restrained, and fire. Has proficiency in nature, so that's interesting. And its damages and chance to hit is going, and skill and saving throws are going to increase equal to your proficiency bonus. As Flame Seed, so 1d6 plus your proficiency bonus, Dex plus your proficiency bonus, range 30 feet. On it, and then we have Fiery Teleportation. Spear in each willing creature of your choice within 5 feet of it, teleport up to 30 feet to non-occupied space you can see. Each creature within 10 feet of space that the spirit left must succeed a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC or take 1d6 plus 2 fire damage. Recharges after a short or long rest. So basically, if you use this during... okay, so it's part of your wild shape. If you use this, you get 2 wild shapes. You get them back on a short rest, but that pretty much means like you get 1 use of Fiery Teleportation per short rest, not per wild shape. So that's interesting. Personally, especially because of the next 2 things that we get in this class, subclass, I would have liked to see the spirit have some way of healing our allies. This lasts an hour, so of course not repeatable like the Flame Seed, but maybe a number of times equal to our Wisdom modifier. Because when we look at these 2 abilities, they both damage. They do both good for damage and healing. So Enhanced Bond. And whenever you cast a spell that deals fire damage or restores hit points while your Wildfire Spirit is summoned, roll d8 and you gain a bonus to 1 roll of the spell equal to the number rolled. Additionally, when you cast a spell with a range other than self, the spell can originate from you or your Wildfire Spirit. Now, this is an issue with what I have with the 5th edition D&D. Sometimes it can be really limiting. And where it's limiting in this is like, okay, cool. It says whenever you cast a spell. So if you're multi-classing, it's not calling out whenever you're casting a druid spell. So that's good. But you have several abilities that are going to be healing or dealing fire damage within your class that this doesn't affect, and that just feels odd. So I think it should say when you cast a spell or use one of your druid features, because we got a flame seed, and then once we get a little fiery teleportation, and then like I said, I would like to see some healing, so if they did do that, that'd be in there as well. And then once you get the flames of life, whenever a creature you can see dies within 30 feet, you use your reaction to cause primal fire to spring from the body. So when a creature touches the flames, they either regain hit points or take fire damage, your choice. The damage is equal to 2d10 plus your wisdom modifier. Well, the damage or healing is equal to 2d10 plus your wisdom modifier. If they did make the change that I was talking about, then it would be 2d10 plus d8. So I don't see a problem with that. And like this would be 1d6 plus d8. I don't see a problem with that either. I guess that's a big problem though. You could use this a number of times. You go to your wisdom modifier plus per long rest. And then here we have blazing endurance. We got a death ward. So if you drop to 0, you drop to 1 hit point instead, and you gain temporary points equal to 5 times your druid level. Level 14, that's 7 hit points. Each creature of your choice within 30 feet that you can see takes fire damage. You go to 2d10 plus your druid level. That's minimum 16 damage, no save. And like I like this. Like you have the burning passion of your soul. So this, I do like. I just think this should be boosted up just a tiny bit, just to include the rest of what the class does. Then we have the Onomancy. So this one is pretty interesting. It has some really interesting story, like things that can come about, and like it is good for both support and for dealing with your enemies. It is better for dealing with your enemies though. So you gain proficiency with one language of choice and you proficiency with calligrapher's tools. You gotta write out those names. And then we have a extract name. As bonus action, you can target one creature within 60 feet of you, so they don't even need to know that you're doing it. They make a wisdom save against your spell save DC. On a successful save, you discern the magic failed and you can't use this feature on the target again. It doesn't say until 24 hours have passed. It just says again. So if you want to get their true name, you need to do it the old-fashioned way. On a failed save, the target is charmed by you until the end of your next turn, and you mentally learn the target's name or the fact the target lacks a name. That could be interesting in its own, but it does say it's like, oh no, they have no name. You can't use the true name on it. But what could be interesting is, like, let's say if you do this on some beast. Normally you think beasts would have no name, but if you use this on ability on a beast and they are revealed to have a true name, that could have a lot of story potential. Why does this, like, for example, why does this wolf have a name? And you can then find out about that, and that's a storyline right there. Now, another interesting thing with the existence of this subclass is, like, if you go into a village and you wrong someone, and then they point at you and they say, "I will curse you. I know your name." That would give you like, if you know this subclass exists, that would give you a sense of dread. Like, what are they gonna do? And that could be just a random villager that you don't know. Maybe they're tricking you. You don't know. Then we have fateful naming. So you add Bane and Bless as prepared spells in addition to your normal prepared spells. This is really good if you don't have... first of all, Bane and Bless are not normally spells on the wizard spell list, but not only that, but this is good if you're not in a campaign that you don't really have access to scrolls or spell books to write them into your write the spells into your spell book. You can, as long as you speak true name while casting one of these spells, a number of times you go to your Talisman modifier prolong rest, you can cast it without spending a spell slot. So that's really good. You could use some support there. You're also going to be hindering them. And then we have the Rest and Unrinse. You get 2 at 6th level. And you can use them a number of times equal to half your wizard level. So that's going to be 3 uses when you first get it. So the first one here is Absorption. When you cast a spell that deals damage to a named target, you regain 3d6 temporary hit points. And that's going to increase at 10th level and 14th level. And if the spell requires the named creature to make a saving throw, that creature has disadvantage on the first save it makes against the spell. That's gonna make sure that you're getting your spells through. And then Disillusion, the first time the named creature takes damage from the spell, the creature takes an extra 2d8 force damage. That again increases at 10th level and 14th level. Notification, this was an interesting one. If the named target is affected by any other spells, you know what those spells are, and you can attempt to end one of your choice by succeeding an intelligence check with a DC equal to 10 plus the level of the chosen spell. So, of course, if your enemy is buffing itself, you can then cast this to get rid of the buff. But then you can also cast a buff on one of your allies, and if they're being affected by Hold Person. So they're no longer affected by Hold Person, and you buff them, and you didn't have to waste a Dispel Magic. And so that could be used defensively as well. Puppetry, the first time the named creature takes damage from the spell, you can knock the creature prone or move it up 10 feet, either directly towards you or away from you. This one is purely offensive, but it's really good. You can knock them prone, they're going to take half movement, stand up. You can push them away or closer, put them in or out of a trap, so on and so forth. Maybe you cast a spell, put them in some. It's gonna have an area. You can put them in position, make it hard to get out of the area. And Sympathy. If the named creature is within range of the spell, you can target the creature with the spell, even if you can't see the creature or it has total cover against the spell. So this one is another one that's good for both allies and enemies. So if you're using speaking the true name of an ally, maybe you have a rogue in hiding and you're casting a buff spell or something like that, and you're going to cast it on your rogue, and then that could almost be a trigger to us, okay, once I'm affected by this, then go. Or let's say you're attacking a wizard's castle. This wizard's the big bad. As soon as you get in the castle, he knows you're there. Maybe he has layer actions, and in addition to the layer actions, he's casting spells that are able to find their target, even though he's in his throne room at the top of the castle, and you're just got in the entrance. So in addition to any traps or minions or layer actions that this creature, this big bad might have, you have the fact that he's already casting spells on you. That's intense. So if you know this is a thing, either you're kind of screwed because he knows your true name, or you'll just go by so many names that maybe people don't know what the things you've done because you're in obscurity, and you can either fall in obscurity, or maybe people know you by so many names that one person calls you this, another person calls you this, and you just it's fine. Your name is at the same time the most important and the least important thing to you. Level 10, you get 2 more choices, so you'd have 4 out of 6. And then level 14, as long as you speak the true name of a creature as you cast a spell, you can change the damage type to either force or psychic instead of the normal damage type. So even a fire elemental that's immune to fire damage, you can cast a fireball spell and it'll still take damage. So, like, just like with any other wizard, silence is going to be a big hindrance to you, but this is going to affect you even more. Overall, I love the story potential that comes out of the subclass, but something to keep in mind, some DMs, they're going to have NPCs that's like, this is guard number 3, and then you're like, I'm going to use my extract name on guard number 3. What's guard number 3's name? And then GM goes, Jeffrey Collins. Now, for me, I like when my players are going to do things like that because it's going to like force me to build the world. It's like, I have trouble with world building, but like, the more my players get invested, the more I'm like, oh, I'm going to grab on the thing you just did. I'm going to build on that. Oh, this thing just happened in game. I'm going to build on that. So then, if someone does something like that, like when I was talking about how like if you could use this on an animal, and maybe it doesn't have a true name, but maybe it does, and all of a sudden you try and find out why is a true name. How does something like this have a true name? There is so much story potential involved in this subclass that I just love it. All right. Well, thank you for listening. If you have, let me know what you think about what I had to say. And y'all have a good day. Bye.